G'day everybody. So I've talked the talk a little bit at least, and I will attempt to walk the walk. Now, if you guys have been watching, you'll know that I'm a retired chef, and at some stage I was always going to do a cooking video. It's not really what the channel is about, but as we go along and we get more and more and more and more food in the garden, I will show you how to use that sort of food and talk to you about the type of menus that I am going to write for the new kitchen. So, just a quick explanation of what we have. We have salt, we have ground black pepper, and we have ground white pepper, which is just a sun-dried ground black pepper, but you will find it milder. So I use the white a lot because you can't see it in dishes. Use the black, you can see it. This here is umami. You guys know it as MSG. This is a kelp extract. It's vegan, and it is actually better for you than you think. So I'll explain that to you one day. We're not going to use that today. We've got a flat bottle of champagne from when we bought the house. I normally would use white wine, but I tend to use what I have in the fridge and what I've got in the garden, and that's what these videos will be. I'm not going to go out and buy new stuff and fancy looking stuff to cook food that I know that will be just as good. So kind of brings me to these. They're a bit rough. These are the top of the Egyptian walking onions. It's basil, off a basil that's going out of season, and that's a Siberian tomato that came from the old house. So it's only a little tomato, really nice, really savoury. And then we have some lamb loin chops. So not sure where these will be from, but they're from South Australia. I'd say they're down Narracourt way, or maybe in the hills, maybe even from the Barossa if we were really lucky. And they're delicious. They're quite a prime cut, lots of fat in them. And they're one of my favourites. So all I'm going to do with these is just marinate them with those herbs and some salt and pepper, and that's it. And use that bowl to mix it, and then we'll cook it and we'll make the sauce. I'll show you how to do that. This sauce is a base sauce almost. You can go wherever you like, and as we go along in these videos, I will show you how to adapt this sauce. All right, guys. So this is a very major part of cooking, especially in French restaurants. Now, it's not technically perfect. I don't do technically perfect. I don't want to do technically perfect. I do comfort food. So stick around. Let's see what happens with this, and hopefully it'll be delicious. Okay, let's start with these onions. I washed them and dried them. You can use all of these. It doesn't have to be the white stuff. These taste fairly shallot-ish, which is better than onions. That's why they charge $11 a kilo for shallots and $2 a kilo for onions. Much milder, much sweeter. So we're going to do a little bit for the marinade. So I'm going to chop it up really nice and fine. Right, that'll be enough. And then we're going to do it with the sauce. Now we'll chop it bigger for the sauce because it's going to cook. All right, so you only have to chop it big. Chuck any of these little yucky bits away and keep going until the green runs out, essentially. All this is good. All of it is good. We chuck too much stuff away. Now, you can't use this sort of stuff in restaurants, obviously, because people have expectations. But at home, waste not, want not. So, get rid of those. So that's really it. Legit. Oh no, sorry. Let's chuck some basil in there. That'll do. Get that off, get that off, get that off, get that off. Chuck the flower away, chuck the stem away. Won't waste that. Put it up there. Alright, and we'll just chop this little tomato up. What we'll do it this way. We use all this in the sauce. And who knows, might use a little bit of it as a garnish as well. It's been a while. So that, guys, is called a bruma. I'm not going to do that with all of it. I just thought you'd be interested in how to dice a tomato. So this is it. We'll chop these up, but we use the seeds as well. Normally in restaurants you don't use the seeds. Seeds are a little bit bitter, but I'm cooking for myself. So don't care. It'll be delicious. All right, that's it. That's literally all the prep. One last thing I did forget to tell you guys is that you need garlic, you need butter. I don't know how I forgot it. I'm sorry. But get the butter and garlic out. You need it. Okay, so the meat's marinated. Champagne wasn't flat, but that's fine. Stock, butter, there's garlic somewhere around here. And this is really all we're going to use. Legitimately, I'll show you. You might think it's funny now, but you'll see in a sec. I've cooked these mushrooms. These are for dinner. I'll chuck them on the plate with it. I'm going to chuck some cabbage through there. It's one of my favourite side dishes, mushroom and cabbage. So it sort of shows you can get them to that point and, you know, just leave them. I will do a short, or I have done a short on these mushrooms. They are far more delicious than they look, although they look pretty delicious. And you guys will see how to cook those. A lot of butter, a lot of butter. All right, guys, I'm going to get cooking, set the tripod up. You'll notice I've got my heat going now. Probably can't see the smoke, but it's just starting to wisp, and let's get to it. Okay, pot's on. Not sure if you can see the smoke. It's probably a little bit too much. All right, so I'm just going to lift it. Just going to lift it, and then what we're going to start with is garlic, which I've put back in the fridge. Okay. Very, very important that you do not burn garlic. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to chuck all these in. I'm going to wait, and we're going to listen to that sizzle. And when that sizzle comes, we're going to chuck the garlic in. All right, so they're in. Give them a little salt, just to get the moisture out of them. A little bit of white pepper, bang, bang, bang. And away we go. Alright, now you've got to be really careful. I'm doing this with a teaspoon. Probably should have a wooden spoon ready to rock. There's a little bit of rubbish in there. We'll get rid of that. A bit crispy. Alright, so you can see these are starting to soften up. In goes the garlic. About that. About that. So this will do sauce for 4 pieces of meat. Don't be too scared. You don't want to overdo it with garlic, but it's quite hard to overdo things with garlic. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to get it all in the oil. Alright, we don't want it dry frying. You definitely do not want that dry frying, okay? So all in the oil, all in the oil. Keep it at about that temperature. And then we're going to go with tomatoes. So a lot of times we'll use cherry tomatoes for this. Easier, cut them in half. Way to go. But I had my homegrown tomato, and that's what we're going to use. That last little bit there is garnish. Never forget garnish. Alright. So let's have a look. What have we got? Again, we'll get it all in the oil. Just tilt that pan. Get it all in the oil. But you've got to keep it hot. Now we're going to just let that go for a little bit. Now I don't turn it down. I keep it going flat out, and that will emulsify all the flavours as quickly as possible. And you got to remember that a lot of times in restaurants you've got 8 of these on the go at one time. So the thing is, most of the time with pastas and sauces, you can't make 2 in one pan. The other thing, important thing is that this is an aluminium pan. You can use copper, but you can't use non-stick. It will not do it. You cannot make this sauce in a non-stick pan. So just be careful of that. We used to have a rough bottom, because what you're trying to do here is caramelise it all, release that natural umami. Salt helps with that. And that's the reason why I'm not using umami in this dish, because we're doing so much frying that we can get it out of the vegetables and the tomatoes. And tomatoes are especially high in the type of amino acid that causes the umami flavour, and that's why chefs use them so much, and they're delicious. Alright, so we're about right. We'll give it 30 more seconds. I'll just let you watch that. Okay. When you're cooking, listen to it. Alright, so it's not all about smell, it's not all about sight, it's about what sound liquids make at different points when you're cooking them. So you can see there, all the oil started to come out. What we're going to do now, we're going to deglaze. So what we want to do is make sure that's really, really hot. So I'll give it another 5 seconds. And all this is emulsifying, all this is making flavour. But you do have to watch it. Again, burning it, you've got to stay away from burning it. Even chefs will watch this. Alright, so let's go. So probably 1/3 of a cup of wine. Don't stress. It's going to burn the alcohol off. So you'll see it calm right down. Let's go. I will show you how to cook this in a bit. I got to get the charcoal grill going. Leah comes home late, so I tend to not cook till quite late. But there's no reason you can't do this sauce now. Alright, so this is probably 3 hours before we're about to have dinner. But I'll set this aside. I'll set the mushrooms aside. I'll cook the cabbage, and then we'll just mix the mushroom and the cabbage in the bowl. And then I'll plate it up, and you will see that it will look magnificent. I promise. I promise. Now, I know I seem confident. I am far more confident with cooking than I am with gardening. I've done it for a lot longer, and I've done apprenticeship, I've done my training, I'm level 5. You know, this is what I did for a very, very long time, and it's what I plan to do again in the future. But I plan to work for myself, so it's a lot less stressful. So with the wine, you've got to reduce by half. You don't want to go by 1/3 because it becomes sweet, it becomes sticky. We don't want that. We want a fairly clear sauce. We want a sauce that will run a little bit. Okay, so there's a technical term for it. It's called the ooze. So you wait for the ooze. Now we're at the ooze right now. So when you talk about pasta, what you do with the ooze is you pull the pasta back along the plate, and if it oozes out of the side, bang, that's where your pasta's supposed to be. So that's done. Alright, what else have we got to do? I've forgotten. Yes, so the very last thing is butter. Let's pull this off. Be very careful with butter, you don't want to burn it. At this stage, you cannot bring it back to the boil. Alright guys, so what you have to do is you have to melt this butter. So you're effectively just melting butter into it, and that's the finished sauce. We'll put it back down a little bit just to get it melting. Alright, and then basically you can just, where's my spoon? Basically you can just stir that around, leave it aside, and then it will be ready to cook. So hopefully that looks delicious. We'll get the butter emulsified in there. And then importantly, never, ever, 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 ever remember not to taste, okay? Yep, nice salt, nice pepper, nice bit of wine. Got the freshness from the basil. You've got the sweetness from the onion, and you've got the savouriness and the umami from the tomato. So it's quite, you do not have to use wine in this, all right? So if you don't like the wine, I'm quite a fan of the wine flavour. Just use more stock, or if you like creamy stuff, just put cream in there, okay? All right, we'll come back, we'll cook the meat, and then we will plate it up. So some of you eagle-eyed guys will say, hey Brendo, you didn't put any stock in there. There's actually a reason. I would have put stock in there, but because I was cooking mushrooms with the meal, I decided to heat the stock up with the leftover residue from the mushrooms. And then what we'll do is we'll heat this up slowly with the sauce later on. So we want to cook it out now just to make sure that it's healthy. And then we'll add it to the sauce, and yeah, it should be lovely. So here we are. I've heated some charcoal up. Seems like a little bit of a waste, but I don't like to cook inside because I destroy it. So I forgot this was on. I was mucking around, and let's have a look and see how we go. So they're on. That green stuff will burn off, but that's fine. Good thing about charcoal was to burn stuff off. The important thing is that it was marinated. Just make sure that you are leaving a little bit of a gap between your meat. The meat's going to shrink, so you can sort of start it together, but if you don't leave a gap, you're going to stew those bits of meat, and we don't want stewed meat. We want smoked and charcoal meat. Now you can just do this in a frying pan. Lamb cooked in a pan with a little bit of rosemary is really, really good. So don't think you have to do it on charcoal. The only reason I'm doing it on charcoal is because I hate messing up my kitchen. Okay, important to remember, guys, when you're cooking lamb or Scotch fillet or a really fatty piece, they're going to catch on fire, especially on charcoal. Even in a pan, if you're cooking them really, really hot, which they tend to do in restaurants. So none of those cooked yet, okay? But what's happened is fat's gone down in there and it started catching on fire. As soon as that stuff catches on fire, you need to catch it. So back on she goes. Actually, we'll give it another 10 seconds, but back on she goes. They're definitely not cooked. I do not subscribe to the one turn only method. It is an absolute load of bollocks. Any good chef will tell you that if you need to turn a steak, you turn a steak. Now there's exceptions, and that's when you're cooking on a grill with lines on it and you want that beautiful line, so you've got to be really careful. But the trick to that, right, so sometimes you'll see them with straight lines, sometimes you'll see them with squares. That square is when a chef has checked the steak. Alright, so they'll lift it up, won't be any good, but they're not going to be able to get that line on it, so they'll flip it, and then they'll cook it that way. So important to remember, you can slow meat down by turning it, and the longer you cook meat with fat in it, the better it's going to be. So dry heat like charcoal or an oven will render fat, but things like stews and stocks and things like that, they will solidify fat, or they'll boil it out and you have to take it out by hand, which is fine. I'll show you how to do that one day. And it's also important to remember is look how fat your meat is. So we've got this one big boy here. That's going to take ages. Trying to get these med rare. Actually, we're trying to get these medium. But these little skinny bits on the end, they're going to be delicious if they've got some charcoal on them. The secret is just watch it. Don't walk away from it at this stage. Okay, one last little shot of just what I'm doing. This is just reheating. This is how you do it. You just cook stuff and reheat it. That is the secret of cooking. So that's that sauce. I haven't mixed it yet. I'm just going to warm it up, heat it up slowly, and then I'll show you what it looks like. A little bit of garnish. Let's plate up. So this is almost a finished product. Just got the sauce put on. Reduced it earlier. You saw I put butter in it. You saw I put mushroom and things like that in it. Just get my favourite spoon. And we're just going to give it a little bit of that. Alright, so again, this is a base sauce. This is a creation. You can do so much with it, and I will absolutely teach you guys how to make many sauces with this cooking method. I hope that looks good. Alright guys, I'm about to have some food. See ya.